This is Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
Welcome to Level Up, a podcast by me, John Cale, discussing you don't know what you don't know. So what does level up mean? Level up basically means that in our lives, we should be working to move to a new level in a variety of different ways. And you may be thinking, okay, well, what is this all about? And who is this guy? Well, if you give me just a few minutes, I'm going to go over that for you and explain to you, why is this even happening? Why would I come and create a podcast for Gen Z and beyond that is covering the age group from 17 up into the early 30 range? Because that generation is enormous. And I have some things to share with you about your generation that I'd like to see if you can associate with. You know, during the ages of 17 to 32, you're going to deal with more things in that window of time than you probably ever will in your entire life. So we're talking about people in school. We're talking about those of you who are in college, and I mean high school. We're talking about people who are starting a career, people who are still trying to figure out what they want to do and what is the career that they want to have. We're even talking about people who are married with children. And there's probably many of you who are just wandering around trying to figure out, do I need to go to school? And just trying to make things work. So over the past year, I've actually spent time interviewing people in the Gen Z marketplace to understand what you're facing and what the struggles are that are happening. I've talked to bartenders. I've talked to servers. I've talked to people in manufacturing. I've talked to people who are current students, college students, people who cut dog hair. I've dealt with all kinds of people, even professional workers. And one of the things that I hear from people is they feel like they're in a car speeding down the road, and there are so many things that they want to see. And as they're in the car, they're driving by all the things that they see. And I really want to stop and look at that. I really want to engage in that piece of something in my life. But the problem is they don't feel that they have the wheel and they don't feel that they have the brakes to stop the car. So in essence, people feel out of control in Gen Z. One of the things that is really important to me is that I sense that this generation has missed a lot, that there's been a lack of direction in a variety of different things just about life. And one of the things I'm trying to do is bring those things to the table to enable you to have a really fulfilled life. The one thing I would say is that this is a movement. This is not just a show or a podcast. What's that mean? Well, to me, what that means is that, you can hear a lot of different things. I can look at all of the different podcasts that Gen Z looks at and listens to right now and realize that they offer a lot of different subjects. But the one thing that I feel is really important that might be a little bit different is to offer you information that's of value to you that can help you with your life and with all of the struggles that you're facing. And I'm going to go through those. If you'll just stick with me for a minute, I'd like to go through why I'm doing this, and who I'm doing this for. And I'd also like to share with you some things that your generation is dealing with and see if you can associate and feel that we're on target here and that it could be very relevant to you to listen in the days and weeks to come. So it's not a show. This is actually something that I would challenge you as we begin this podcast, that you're gonna do something. You're gonna level up so that every time you come to the session, every time you come to hear the podcast, you actually realize that there's something that I leave here with of value. You're either going to leave learning something new, or you're going to leave understanding something better that you thought you knew at the beginning. Have you ever thought that you knew something and you were convinced that you had the answer, that you were right? You might have even thrown down to prove to somebody, you might have bet some money on it, that you actually knew what you were talking about. And then did you realize ultimately that you were wrong, that you really didn't know, and you found out that, wow, I was so convinced I had the answer. And why is that? because you really didn't know what you didn't know. And that's really where I'm trying to go with this podcast. You've got to take action in your life. I think obviously, if you want something to change or something to happen in your life, you got to do something. It's not going to change by sitting on the couch with the remote, by looking at YouTube, by looking at Instagram, by streaming videos, etc. Nothing's going to change for you unless you engage. And so, no matter how hard you try, you walk up to a mirror and you look at yourself and you don't like your body for whatever reason, it's not going to change unless you do something about it. You've got to make a decision that I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out, right? You cannot like the job that you have, but your job's not going to change unless you do something about it. You can think a lot in your mind about it, but until you do it, nothing's going to change. So one of the things that I would tell you is that I really want to be able for you to have value. I don't just want to be a show. I don't want this to just be something you listen to and go away. I want to be able to add value. Your time is worth something. So if you're going to invest a minute to come and spend time listening to this podcast, I want you to leave with value, with something new that will help you to take a step to becoming a better person. So let me level set with you for just a minute. See if you can associate with this. So who is this podcast for, right? It's important that you understand that. Number one, it's for you, Gen Z and beyond, people who are interested in that. You should take a look at how you associate with these things that I'm going to share with you. Do you know how big your generation is? One of the reasons that this is something that I'm pretty passionate about in trying to engage with you is because there are 68.6 million of you currently in the United States. That represents almost 20% of the population of our country. Did you know that there's that many of you in the United States? In 2025, Gen Z is projected to constitute around 27% of the workforce in the United States. So this year, you will be 27%, over a fourth of the people that are working in the United States. In 24, 88% of you were active on social media. And this year, in 2025, that number is going to go up to 90%. What are the places that you're most active at? Where is it that you're going? TikTok was number one by far. Next to it, actually not far away, was YouTube, followed by Facebook, followed by Pinterest, followed by Twitter, by LinkedIn, by Threads. So all the way down, you're very active, but 88% of your generation is active in social media. That's enormous in its ability to impact your generation and the country and the world. Also, the power that you have with spending. Do you realize that you're probably the number one generation that advertisers want to get to? Why? Why do they want to get to you? They want to get to you because if you're anywhere from 17 to 32 or 33 years old, you're going to be deciding, hey, this is the bank that I want to work with. I need a loan. I need a credit card. Hey, these are the kind of cars I want to drive. Hey, I want to live in this kind of neighborhood. These are the kind of places that I want to work. This is the kind of college I want to go to. These are the kind of clothes that I want to wear. This is the fit, right? That I think is what I need in my life. So why? Because your spending power, this is an amazing number, reached over $450 billion. And that holds huge sway on markets and industries, not only in the US, but worldwide. So the amount of money and spending that your generation has is significant. One of the things that is really cool about your generation that has been lost is that there tends to be a lot of you that save money. Even as much as the statistics say almost 30% of what you make, some of you will save, which is amazing. Very brilliant, very smart. Anybody in finance would tell you, wow, what a great thing that you're saving 30% of your income. Owning a home in your generation, if you're not to that point yet, is tough. If you are to that point, it can be really hard. And why is that? Because of the income factors, because of the banking situation, because of interest rates being so high. So it's a challenge, more so for your generation having home ownership than it has been for other generations before you, like millennials and Xers and on up. So many of you have decided that you're going to be living at home, right? So some of you are staying with mom and dad still. Some of you may be staying with a relative. Some of you may be, getting together with a buddy or a friend and sharing rent together. So these are challenges that are very real in your generation. There's also some other challenges that are happening. These challenges that are happening have to do with mental health. And the fact that your generation has been through so much. Many of you came through the COVID crisis and your whole world got flipped upside down. Your work, if you were in your career, got flipped upside down. If you were in high school, it got flipped upside down. If you were in college, everything got, disembarked and everything was blown up, right? So you have been through a lot. The other thing is that you have probably seen more things where you have watched someone say something over here on this side, and then on over here, someone else say something else that is completely opposite of what this person said. And you've been in the middle going, okay, what's really true? So it's been really hard for you to understand what truth is. And I'm not necessarily I'm not talking about politics, because this isn't about a politics show, right? I'm talking about just in life in general. Who do I trust? Who is it that I can really put confidence in and know that I have the ability to trust and make a decision about my life based on that input that I get from this person? Here's another interesting thing. 40 million of you are potential voters in the United States. 40 million of you can vote out of 66 million of you in that generation. What's that say? That says that you need to understand that if you can actually do something and decide to make some moves, like we talked about earlier, you can't just walk up to the mirror and go, look, I want to be skinny, or I want to look like this, or I want to be jacked, or I want to have this shape, right? You can't just do that and boom, there it is. You have to do something, right? Well, realize that there's enough of you in this generation that you can make a difference and sway something and make things change in the way that you want it to be. Think about all the things in your life that right now where you are, that you wish were different. Think about all the things that have happened to you and the things that have been put on you that you wish were different. Well, with the size of your generation, if you really get on board, you can change those things. So here's one other thing I want to share with you, and then I want to share some things about what you think about to see if you associate with that. One last thing on the statistics of your generation. This generation, by 2026, will become a majority non-white generation in the United States. That's an interesting statistic. You want to talk about diversity? This generation, within the next year, will become a majority non-white generation. So you are truly a generation of people from all over, from all cultures, from all walks of life. And it's so important that you leverage all of those differences together, right? One of the things that used to happen to me when I was teaching school, I used to teach, and I'm going to tell you, so here's what's coming, okay? This is no longer than about 30 minutes, so stick with me, okay? I'm going to go through some feelings to make sure that, you can associate with, yeah, that's me. And then I'm going to tell you why me, why this guy. So you need to understand, if you're going to come back to this show, to this podcast, why are you coming back to hear this guy? So I'm not going to talk about me probably more than literally 2 minutes. I'm going to go through it so that you understand my background, and I'm done talking about me. But I want to talk to you about some real stuff about you and feelings that you may be having right now. According to what we're finding about Gen Z, a lot of you feel like you're not enough in life. You just are down. You're discouraged. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you do, no matter you do something well, you still feel inside like I'm not enough, right? And a lot of that happens because of a factor called imposter syndrome, right? That comes from comparing yourself to constant social media and pressure around you to be perfect, right? I think you probably understand, and you can probably get a feeling that, yep, I have that issue, right? We live in a world where we look at everything around us and we see all of our friends and their cool pictures and Snapchat and Instagram and, TikTok, and everybody's just cool and funny and everything's great, right? But is it really? Like, what's going on behind those pictures, right? And then we all think, like, I wish my life was as happy as you think yours is, right? But in reality, we're all human beings. The one thing we have in common, I don't care what race you are, I don't care where you come from, I don't care what your belief system is, I don't care if you're a guy, I don't care if you're a girl, it doesn't matter. The one thing we all have in common is we are human beings, we all breathe the same air, and we all live on this planet. And we need to learn and understand, right, that we're individuals, right? There's nobody better than anyone else here. Nobody. Just because somebody has money or a nice car or this or that, doesn't matter. It's really cool. It's awesome that they have those things. Could be happy for them. But it doesn't make them better than you. We're all individuals, and we all, in essence, when I was younger, this is an old saying, you're probably going to be like, this dude's using something I've never heard before. We all put our pants on the same way, right? One leg at a time. We all do it. We put them on the same way. So you feel like you're not enough. You don't measure up. So you're constantly struggling. Second thing is you're lonely. Now, this is crazy. How can you be lonely in a world where you're on your phone 24/7? You're looking at all of the social media. You got connections to all these people. You're snapping people. You're talking to people, but yet you're alone. How does that happen? Well, it happens again because we're all human. Deep within all of us is a need for relationship, right? That's we're made like that. We're supposed to have relationships and interact with each other, right? We need people. And so the second thing about your generation is that people are lonely, right? And you feel insufficient and you feel vulnerable to even say that you're lonely, and because you could be embarrassed. Like somebody might say, well, what do you mean? And someone will make fun of you because you're lonely. It's a human thing. There's nothing wrong with going, hey, man, I feel lonely. There's nothing wrong with that. As a guy, as a girl, it doesn't matter, right? But we get afraid of, and I think you feel embarrassed. That's at least what the information tells us about your generation. The other thing is, I don't know who I am. I feel like there are millions of you that are wandering around day after day trying to figure out, who am I? What am I here for, right? I know when I was teaching juniors and seniors in high school, I used to tell them in their junior year, I used to say, hey, next year, you guys come to school as a senior, you're going to freak out because you're going to realize everything I've been doing since I was in kindergarten ends this year. The world as I know it ends this year, and it's going to hit you when you start your senior year. And I said, by the time you get to Christmas of your senior year, you're really going to lose your mind because you realize in just a few short months, what am I going to do with my life? I've built everything up to get here. And so what ends up happening, right? You don't know what you're going to do. And so you don't know where to go to college. You feel pressure. Well, my mom wants me to go. My dad wants me to go. People want me to be a doctor. People want me to go and work in the trades, whatever it may be, right? But you're feeling like all these pulls on you and you don't really know who you are. You don't understand. You got friends telling you, come with me, go to school here. Oh, let's go over here and do this. You got expectations from family. Maybe everybody was in medical or everybody was in a factory or everybody did something else. So, well, you need to go and do that, right? Where do I go? And you're kind of lost. So you don't go do anything and you just wander around. And I believe many of you, your generation has multiple hustles. You got a lot of stuff going on, working one job, two jobs, three jobs. I've met people who are serving here, working part-time there, and doing something else. They got 3 gigs going, right? So you're wandering around going, I don't know who I am. And you have an identity crisis. Also, one of the things that we found was that you're overwhelmed. You're completely overwhelmed with what? With the fact that everybody has expectations and you don't know what to do with life. What is it that's overwhelming you in your life right now? And it doesn't matter if you're 20 or you're 17 or you're 30 years old. There are things that will overwhelm you. I'm a little bit older than 30, just a little, maybe 35. You guess. I'm not telling you. But what I will tell you is that even when you get older, you're still going to get overwhelmed. But you guys are young and you're overwhelmed. And in many cases, you don't know how to deal with it, right? It's just everything coming at you. I talked to a young lady who was a server actually at a bar recently. And one of the things she told me was, she's like, look, man, I'm just trying to make it another day. And she's only in her early 20s. Like, that shouldn't be, right? I mean, your life's just starting. These are good days for you in your generation. So many people will mask these things with humor. A lot of times you may laugh it off with your friends, right? And talk about things and joke about them. But really, it's kind of just a cover, because really underneath, it's a real thing to you, okay? And then the last thing was that they're scared of the future. You guys are scared of the future. What are you scared of, right? With everything that's going on in our country and across the seas and these countries and those countries and the stock market and world situations, the future for you seems uncertain. The job market. Well, if I don't know what I'm going to do, I'm going to be kind of scared about my future. How am I going to make money? How am I going to fulfill my dreams? How am I going to find that person, right? And spend the rest of my life with them and maybe have children. How am I going to pay for that? How am I going to do that? So those are the things that I would tell you seem to be the things that you're thinking about, folks like yourself, in these days. And they're issues that are very real, and you don't maybe even really talk about these things, but they're real feelings, okay? The other thing is that people feel disconnected from faith and spirituality, right? Your generation is one that's looking for something genuine. The problem is that you can't find it. The problem is that you're searching and you go here for a while and try that and I feel all right, and then it goes away. And then you try the other thing and then it goes away, right? Because you don't really find the thing that really, really can make a difference in who you are as a person and as a human being. And so from a faith and spirituality perspective, you guys are kind of disconnected because we see things that aren't real. We see people do things in the name of church or spirituality or God. And then we say, well, that's clearly not what I think God is about, right? Or spirituality. And so you become disconnected and you become very, very confused. So let me just share with you two last things. Number one, why this guy, right? This is the third W. I named this particular podcast launch the 4 Dubs, right? It's the 4 Dubs. And this is the third one, why this guy? So I don't want to talk about me. I don't want to go on and on about me, but I figured I should give you some credential as to why I'm doing this. And I'm going to tell you all these things. I want you to understand, I'm not telling you this so you can go, wow, aren't you cool? And I'm, I have a big ego and look at me. That's not why I'm telling you this. Why I'm telling you this is I want you to understand that there's a reason that I feel like I can have this conversation with your generation. Because I've got experience and I've done a lot of things in life that people don't normally get to do and may never get to do. And that's why I want to share with you a little bit about me. So here it goes. It's going to be quick, so pay attention. I come from a family of 6. I'm the youngest. My oldest brother is 79 years old, okay? And I'm the baby. I have done all kinds of things in life. I have cut trees, stacked lumber, worked outside in shorts in the burning sun, got black creosote all over my body, while I was wearing shorts, stacking wood that had it on it, stacked railroad ties all summer long. So I've done physical work. So I've done that, and I understand it. I also worked in a factory. So I understand that. I worked in a warehouse and distribution earlier when I was young. I also did some college and got a degree and was involved there, had a stint with college and did that. I was in business. During my business career, I was very fortunate to have a man that took me under his wing. His name was Bill Zimmerman, and Bill actually took me under his wing, and he taught me business. He probably cut my career by 10 years. He just expedited it, and he enabled me to process and advance at least 10 years by working with him. An amazing person who gave me a chance in life. And my life has been successful because, number one, I was made to be the things and the person that I was created to be. But this guy saw it and took a chance and worked with me. During my career, I've been an executive vice president. I've been a vice president. I've worked in healthcare. I've worked in insurance. I've worked in manufacturing. I've worked in banking. I led and was a part of trips around the world to Russia a couple different times, working with young people over in Russia outside of St. Petersburg. I've been to Brazil. I've been to Israel. I've been to Jordan. I've been to the Caribbean on a variety of trips, working with people in those regions. And in addition to that, leading teams of young adults to go and make a difference in someone else's life. I have been a part of many people's special day of marriage. I have conducted weddings. I have been a part also on the other side of that with families, and I've been in rooms with families around the bed of their loved one or friend when that person died and passed away and left this world. I've also been a person who has stood by the graveside and done the funerals for people. So I have married people and I have buried people, and I've been with those families. So I understand what loss is. I lost both my parents. I don't have my parents now. My father passed away when I was 15, so it was me and mom trying to figure it out. My mom passed away in 2005. So it's been a different road for me because I kind of lost my dad just when I was coming off of Ritalin. And for those of you in this generation, you may not know what that is, but that's a pill for hyperactivity and ADHD and ABC, CBS, NBC, any of those things, right? I had it. It was me. Bounce, bounce, bounce. So anyway, I lost my dad right when I was getting to the point where I could see straight from all that. And so it's been different. I've spoke to crowds of 1,500 to 2,000 people. I've spoke to crowds that are significant both in the country, and I've spoke to crowds that size in other countries with interpreters. I taught school for several years. I got tired of the business career and said, I'm out. I'm going to go teach. So I actually ended up teaching juniors and seniors for 3 years. I taught them entrepreneurship, marketing, sales, strategy, and decided I'm going to teach them from like real feet on the street because this is what I did with my life, right, in my career. And as a result of that, and then, taught them real life. And then the other half of it was beyond the real business piece of it to what life is about, the kind of things we're talking about here today. I also would tell you I've worked with hundreds of young adults and families in many communities over the years, tons of families and young people in communities. I also founded a tech company in 2010 with 2 other partners. Had an idea, had a concept, took it to a buddy of mine that I really trusted, and began to be introduced into other people that could be influential into that, both people who were involved in this region and law firms and other people, patent firms, and ultimately that company from 2010, which was around automated software, data science, and analytics, right, in the banking space, was sold about 3 years ago. You'd say, okay, that's great. Well, maybe, so you started a company and sold it. Well, it was significant. I tell you, it was significant. You can read it online. We sold the company for $120 million. Well, why are you telling me that? Because I want you to know I've been through a lot of stuff. I've met a lot of people. I understand a lot about life. That's why I tell you that. And it was a significant company that ended up buying. It was a huge blessing in our lives. And everyone worked very, very hard to make that happen. I wrote a book called Finding the Answer that's up on Amazon right now. It took me 5 years to write a 30-minute read. Why? Because I felt that a lot of people in life don't really know what they're doing as young people in Gen Z, right? Young ladies, young men, that you're trying to find an answer. You're going from thing to thing. And for a while, certain things fill you up. You feel good about it, but they always get old. It's kind of like, the other thing I was going to tell you was I ride Harleys and I like cars. And so I have a couple nice cars. I have a Maserati and I have a C8 Corvette. I don't golf. I used to golf and then I started spending more money on balls than playing golf and decided this isn't for me. So that's my thing, right? I like to go out to eat. I like nice restaurants and I like cars. But I can tell you this, right? When we talk about things making you happy and then it kind of fades. I remember when I bought my new Harley when we sold the company. Brand new Harley, and I put all these really cool pipes on it and what they call a Rockford Fosgate sound system, and I raised the bars up, ape hangers, not really crazy, but pretty cool, right? I remember sitting on that, and I remember when I first got it, and I remember it was like, look at this baby, man. Look, it's so shiny, and it looks so great. And I remember my son, Denton, would walk out near the bike, and I'd be like, don't get near it, man. Don't come close. Just stay away, because I want to get a scratch on it. I don't want something to happen with it, right? But after I had it for a couple, 3 months and I wrote it, that feeling of, wow, this is like the most amazing thing, it faded, right? It wasn't the same anymore. And so what I'm trying to tell you, the same thing, right? You're searching for things in life and it works for a while and then you're empty again. So I understand that I've been down that road, okay? I love to travel a lot. My wife would say, yeah, I love to travel a lot. And somehow I miss that, but I do need to tell you, I am married. I do have 3 kids, so sorry, I missed that. I have, my wife and I have yours, mine, and ours. She has a son who's 24, who's a Gen Z. I have a son. We together have a son who's 14. He's a Gen Z. And then I have a daughter who is 37, who is a millennial. Unfortunately, she's not a Gen Z, but she really can hang out with you guys. She understands it. The other thing that I want to tell you about me that's really important is I am a normal guy, just like the guys who are listening here, and just a normal person like you. I have been hurt by people. There have been people in my life, because I'm a little older than 30. There have been people in my life who have not really been loyal to me. People that I trusted, and they really let me down, and they really, really, really hurt me. Not once, not twice, not 10 times, not 12 times, a lot of times, right? So I'm a normal person who's been hurt by people who lied and said things about me that wasn't true. I also am a person who in my life has made decisions and choices that hurt other people deeply. So as a human, I have made choices that I shouldn't have made that really hurt other people, and more than one, many people. And I had to work my way through that, and I had to ask for forgiveness, and I had to go back to those people and say, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm human, and I'm sorry. This was wrong, and I'm sorry. Now, none of that, just so you know, I'm not a criminal, okay? Like, I've been fingerprinted. I've got like pre-TSA. I got clear in the airport. I have no criminal record, okay? So I just want you to understand there's nothing hidden there like, oh, man, this guy's a whack job. I'm not, okay? So I just want you to know that, but it's important that you really, really understand that about me. And so I personally am doing this. Now, that's it. That's all you're going to hear me talk about, okay? I'm not going to talk about me anymore. But I'm personally doing this because after being, a little more mature than 30, yet again, I have a lot of experience, and I truly want to just share that, what I've learned, where I've walked through hard times and I've been through difficult things. I want to try to provide direction into your generation, because I really feel that is needed, and that you're searching for somebody that might help expose some things that you don't know what you don't know. So the why, because I believe you can change, and you can change your world. And there's so many of you, if you get a part and become a part of the movement, to begin realizing that you are a very unique person, right? Why would I say that? Well, who else has your fingerprints, right? You're unique. You are you, and that's it. Like, there's no one else like you that's lined up genetically the way you are. So realizing and understanding that you're unique, and you don't need to compare yourself to other people. You don't need to wander around trying to figure out what's up, where you're going. There's hope for you. There really is. And I just want to be a person who can help you see some of that. And if I can influence and be positive with any of the things that I've experienced, that's what I really want to do. There are all kinds of things that you've missed information on, right? I talked about COVID, all of these different things, and you can become confused. And I think the other thing that I realized when I talk with people in your generation from all these walks of life is that many times people feel like they're in a room, in a corner, and they're pressed against the wall, and there's no way out. They don't see a doorway. They don't see a way out from where they're at. Like, how do I change my situation? They've just run out of hope. This is why I'm doing it, okay? So to close, a couple things I want to tell you. There's some stuff coming. So I'm going to be doing this every week for 52 weeks in the studio. And there's going to be subjects, as I mentioned, that you're going to come to level up, to leave at a new level with new information, right? and do something with it in your life on a weekly basis. So here's some things I'm going to be talking about in the sessions to come. Number one, why am I freaking out? Okay, that's the session we're going to have. Here's another one, broken family, broken life. This is tough. Okay, broken family, broken life. This is tough. I am who I am, why? Like, who am I and why am I this person, right? How did you get where you are, wherever you are, 20, 17, 33? How did I get here? And how's that going for you, right? Here's another one. Time keeps slipping into the future. Some of you who like rock and roll, you'll know that's a song, or not a song, but that's actually a line out of a rock song from classic, right? Very classic rock song. But that's true. Time keeps on slipping into the future. And here I am, and what am I doing with myself, right? Another one that we're going to talk about is, what am I really afraid of, right? So we're going to have fun. There's going to be some comedy. I'm going to have special guests come on. I'm going to have people in life that have been successful who've rolled down a pathway of doing different things in different ways. And at the end of the day, it's really about you. So I hope that you'll tune in. I hope that you'll come back for the next podcast. I hope that you'll get in touch with some of your fellow Gen Z folks and that you'll pass this along and have them tune in. Because like I said, I really don't see this as a show. I see this as a movement. And I'm one person sitting here helping, but the movement happens because of you making a decision. And I really hope that you'll choose to come back. And until next time, do something, please. I'll see you soon. And remember, you're unique. There's only one you. Thank you.